G'day, Jono. Break with Monday Myth Check, and today's topic is rest and downtime for the week. And I do hear this. I'm amazed today that there's still people thinking that this idea of rest and slowing down and stopping is a weakness, is a sign maybe you're exhausted, maybe you're worn out, rather than an actual play that works well in the context of your business and your strategy and being an effective leader and all those sorts of things. Today, I was just out on my bike riding. I kind of got out in the afternoon. I knew I had all these videos to do. I had different things to achieve. And I thought, you know what? I need to go out and go for a ride anyway. And so I did. Went out, spent a couple of hours out in the trails. It was a nice evening. I knew there was a storm coming, so I had to get in before that. And so what happened there was I had some time to reflect. I had some time to burn off some energy. I had some time to get some exercise, which I really need. But I also just had some time to myself to think about where I'm at. So this whole idea that rest is for the week, I really want to unpack this for a minute and find out where it comes from. It can come from this hyper kind of discipline and energy, kind of coaching and stuff that's out there. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to find time to rest. So let's look at some things here. What does rest actually do? Okay. Well, rest fuels your performance to start with. Okay. Even riding today, there were a couple of times where it's like I climbed a mile up a hill and I was tired. So I stopped because just because I'm going downhill now doesn't mean it's all easy. I've still got to be able to stand up on the pedals, get over rocks, use my core balance and so forth. So it's still tiring going downhill, even though gravity's doing a lot of the work and making it really fun and exciting. It's less of the puffing and panting. But I had to rest before I went downhill. I had to stop occasionally just to get sustenance and to eat and to take some water in and my electrolytes drink and stuff like that. And so rest fuels peak performance. That allowed me to keep going. But it also, that rest is so critical in terms of me taking time out to think about where I'm at, to just reflect, to maybe just be with my family. The other thing is, and the second thing we'd look at is that downtime really helps with your creativity. It's fascinating when people say, I get some of my best ideas in the shower, or I'm just hanging out by the soccer field and suddenly an idea comes to me, or I'm tired and then all of a sudden I start thinking about things. When we're relaxed, when we stop and pause, that's when all the ideas come to us, because basically, in very high level, what's going on is that your amygdala, which is just keeping you energized and going, your cortisol, that sort of thing, everything shuts down and all of a sudden you're allowed to think. And so that's why you start to suddenly create and so it's actually a thing that I tackle with my leaders all the time. This idea of just pausing, even in the middle of a work day, to stop, to reflect, to think about strategy, to think high level, to look at possibilities, to be creative, to get into an environment where you can do that. For me, that's out in the forest. I live near some beautiful forest land here in North America. For some people, it might be a coffee shop. Some people, it might just be in their office looking out the window or their bedroom or wherever it might be. But find that place where you can stop, which means you've got to kill the phone, kill the computer, not be contactable, all these sorts of things, and reflect. So that's one of the things that I think downtime really unlocks creativity. The third thing is basically, if you're going to be sustainably successful, you got to balance your life. You got to balance the things you do. You got to balance your energy. You don't want to burn out doing something you love and then it becomes something you don't love anymore, but you're born for it, like you're passionate about it. This happens a lot. People are so passionate about stuff, they just go. Well, I'm passionate, I don't need to stop. I've got the energy, I love doing this. It's like, well, and you do, but your body's saying stop. Your mind is sometimes saying, hey, we got to rest. If you're not sleeping well at night, all those sorts of things, that's your body saying, okay, something's a little out of whack. If you're not getting time for exercise, if you're not spending time with your family, if you're not taking time to build proper relationships and connect with people that can speak into your world, then you're not getting the right input. And so that's where that whole idea of getting things in a little bit of balance. It doesn't mean when you're at work and on the job that you're going hard, you're working hard, okay? So the reality is that, as I've seen it in my journey and worked with high achievers and seen high achievers and read about them, high achievers do prioritize rest. Great leaders prioritize rest. They know that personal well-being is very important. They know that they've got to be more sustainable in their practices. And they tend to go like this a little bit, like they figure it out, then they slow down, but they come to a place. And so I think the action here, if we start to think about what might the action be, I'd like you to reflect on why you feel like you have to just keep going all the time. Is it fear of missing out? Is it fear of being rejected? What are the fears that sit behind stopping and reflecting? Sometimes it's a fear of being successful, because if I stop and reflect and get really creative, I might come up with something that's just amazing, and I don't know if I can handle that. Believe it or not, that's a legitimate strategy and more common than you think, the fear of success. So I want you to think about that. Stop. You got to stop to do this. Stop and think, what is it about me taking rest, me taking time out that, is confronting to me, and maybe I just want to keep going. There are endless things here, but I want you to stop and say, why do you feel like, honestly, deep down, why do you feel like you can't stop? And let's have a chat about that, because that can be a really debilitating thing for great leaders. And we've certainly got some strategies that can help. So this is Monday Myth Check, that rest is for the weak. I'm Jono Brake. As always, enjoy the journey. Well, g'day, it's Jono Brake here today, and I want to quickly talk to you about self-awareness in leadership and a DISC program that I'm launching. So one of the areas that I'm really well trained in, worked in for 15 to 20 years, is this assessment tool called DISC. And it basically helps you understand how people behave, how they interact with each other, how they connect, how they disconnect as well, how they can handle conflict, how they coach, how they guide, all these different things. But at the end of the day, it comes from this really important premise that the most important thing in a great leader is an understanding of their own space, their own disposition, their self-awareness. So this DISC workshop is designed to be a simple multi-video process where you can unpack DISC and you can look at it in terms of your own space. You'll do an assessment, so you'll know what your assessment is, and then you go through the videos, and you can then book a 15 to 20 minute session with me at the end if you want to. But then also think about, okay, how does this apply to my team? And should we be doing this into your team? But this is where we're at today. I want you to think about coming and doing this DISC workshop with me. It's all online, so you can do it at your own pace, and then we can chat at the end. Hope you're enjoying the journey. I'm looking forward to seeing you on my DISC workshop.